Hello and welcome to Noni, YANGA's flagship talk show where we discuss all the hot topics. Today we take a look at the ways top fashion houses have taken traditional West African clothing and rebranded them as high fashion for the Western world. We also take a look at the popularity of luxury goods and the pressure to be fashion conscious. And as usual, we're inviting you to join in with your comments and views. So if you want to get involved, drop us a line on Instagram and Twitter at YANGA_UK. Joining me today, we've got some familiar faces. TV presenter and writer Lolo Ogunbedajo. We're also joined by social media star Esther Falana, and it's my pleasure to introduce fashion designer Elizabeth-Yemi Akingbade, who's launched her very own label, Yemzi. Welcome, ladies. Nice to have you. Hello. Now, we all love to look good, and for most of us, that means keeping a keen fashion eye on the trends of the catwalks around the world. But being fashion savvy can cost a lot of money. So how important is it to spend your well-earned cash on the latest fashion crazes? Do the clothes we wear really tell the world who we are, or are we conditioned by the media to buy into quick fashion? Lola, besides your, expensive mansion in Chelsea, what's the most luxury and expensive item you own?
The most expensive thing I have in my wardrobe, I would say, is probably a pair of heels. I'm definitely an advocate for buying quality. I don't necessarily feel the need to have to buy expensive or luxury goods unless I really, really feel I want it. So yeah, that's just my mindset on that.
Esther, we're talking about this because obviously this is a thing, we're all on social media. We know that there's something about the black community, especially those that are popular. They kind of want to splash the cash and they want to show people in their pictures that they're wearing, these expensive things.
I believe it's all a facade, especially for a lot of us young people. I'm not talking for myself personally. I'm not talking for everybody, but I'm talking for the few that I do know personally, that I think it's a facade, is to look a certain way. Because I always say this to people, if you're wearing something really expensive and then I look at, let's say, your mother or your siblings, and I think,
where you live,
and I think that doesn't match what you are wearing.
So why are you doing it?
Yeah, why are you doing it? So I believe it's a facade, it's to look a certain way, it's to attract, a certain look. A lot of people want to have this imaginary life. So I think that's why a lot of people do it.
That's really interesting. Elizabeth, you're in the fashion industry, and which some people say is predominantly dominated by white people. And why is it? Is it like an identity thing?
It definitely is. People want to feel a part of a community. They want to feel involved and not on the outside. So people wear these brands, they're like, okay, you're like me, we wear the same things, we like the same stuff. But personally, I'm more about being aware of trends, but not following them. So I'm setting, what's going to be next. So I create my own prints, I create my own silhouettes. It's not about seeing something and then copying it, but actually leading the way. And that's what fashion does at the top. We set the trends and then smaller brands copy. So
it's really interesting because we've discussed on this show, shopping while black, and how sometimes, these big brands can shun you. You're going there, you feel like a thief. You're kind of like, this is my bag, it's open, these are my pockets, because you feel like they're judging you from going in there. But these are the brands we're running to, Lola.
Yeah, it's I don't understand the mindset. I mean, we all have like an auntie and uncle who you can definitely guarantee when they come to the family function dressed in Gucci, like you said, or Burberry, and making sure that everyone sees the name brand. And I think it's, stems from history with this belief that if you are wearing these name brands, you're considered to be up there, like an aristocrat, rich, wealthy, and to be taken seriously. When I see people wearing the replicas, I mean, in fact, we're encouraged to
China.
Can we you said replica, let's say fake.
Fake. fake. And it's just, because at the end of the day, we live in a society where we're encouraged actually to purchase fakes or replicas. If you look into a magazine and you see like Beyonce wearing a Dior dress that costs like maybe $6,000, they always put like an alternative there from Zara, maybe it's 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And
or Primark.
Or Primark, exactly. And so, I think that's really smart. If you can't afford the real thing, get something that's similar. But there's some people who actually know, I want to get the real thing. They obviously can't afford it, so they go and get the fake. And then it really gets on my goat when I'm seeing like someone wearing like a Gucci maybe t-shirt and then they're dressed. It just doesn't look right. Like they're not dressed the part.
The fake thing is really interesting, and because we know everybody knows somebody that wears fake things.
Oh, God.
But how common do you think it is, Esther, especially in your circle?
Do you know what? I am so surprised. Like, I didn't know that even some of the people that that are my peoples are willing to go and buy fake. Like, they're willing to cross that line. And for me, I believe if you can't afford to buy the real, then it means you live within your means. It means that just, you know what, this is not my time. When I'm ready, I will get the real thing. I don't believe, because with me, I don't like embarrassment. I don't want anyone I don't want anyone to say she's wearing fake. Like, my image is important to me, the way I carry myself. So for me, if I can't afford to buy the real thing, I'll just leave it.
You're not going to wear a red bottom the heel could break.
I'm just going to leave it, and when my time comes, everything's about timing. It's when your time comes and you know you can afford it, you can go and buy it.
Exactly. Elizabeth, let me ask you, because of course you are a resident fashion designer here. You know, you're wearing one of your pieces now. We discussed earlier behind the camera that you said it cost up to £300. You know, do you find that some people are buying your clothes, but they can't really afford it, but they just want a piece of the quality?
Like the people who want like high-end fashion and they want the brands, they're not going to go for me because I'm a up-and-coming designer. They're going to go for like the loud Gucci, Louis Vuitton. So I'm actually targeting people that are confident in themselves, so like something like the quality and they want to buy it. So it's a completely different customer audience that I have.
So your clothes are £300, but would you purchase anything for that price? Like you, for example, what's the most expensive item in your wardrobe?
Most expensive would be Stuart Weitzman heels, so they cost £600, and I know it was so much money, but I wanted they're size 8. I've got big feet.
Squeeze in.
Okay, squeeze in. You've got bigger feet than 8.
No.
Okay, I was gonna say, wow. But yeah, I bought them because for the longest time I've wanted over-knee boots. So when I saw them, I was just like, this is what I wanted for literally years.
Wow.
So I had to get them, and I didn't regret it because I like them. They look amazing. But I don't often spend that much on clothing or footwear. But the idea is with my pieces that they're quality, so you can wear them again and again. You know, you can pass them down. I'm not about fast fashion, fast trends. So,
let me finish with you on this, Lola. Is it a social conditioning? We've got, you know, if we're talking about blacks, we've got to bring in America, our dear cousins there. Do you think that sometimes, you know, we've seen it in the videos. You know, you've got one hit record, and all of a sudden you've got the icy grill, the big chains, and it's rolling. You've got a big car. Why? You know, you're not seeing this with successful, you know, white English, you know, pop stars and singers. Why do black people do it?
Again, it's just this strange mentality that you have to showcase how you want to be perceived. So they believe that doing the grills and wearing the designer labels and driving the Ferraris and being very open about it is proving to people that, look, I can afford this, I should be respected, you should take note of who I am. But really, it's just like Esther said, it's a facade, it's fake, it's not real. And you know, in reality, most times these celebrities, they're hiring these things, they're renting out these clothes, they're renting these cars, but it's just, you want people to think that you actually can afford it as well.
You know, it's really interesting. We'll pick it up after the break. Coming up, more on fashion and the pressures to look good. And we ask, is it right for Western designers to take African traditions and cultures and sell them to the masses at a hefty price tag? See you after the break. Welcome back to Noni. Still to come on today's show, it's a topic we're very passionate about here. And today we look at the ways African culture has been used by luxury brands on the catwalk. But first, I want to find out more about why we are so led by the latest trends. Esther, everyone's been talking about it, the Nigerian football kit. It literally sold out within minutes. Yes. You know, apparently there are 3 million pre-orders. Is it because it's Nigerians and we just want to have the latest thing? Because most of them, including my husband, 5 minutes into the football match, they're like, you're rubbish, move on to the next one. But everyone wanted this kit. Is this another example of being a slave to a kind of trend?
Do you know what it is? I think when it comes to the Nigerian kit, I believe the real reason behind the excitement is because right now Nigeria is popping. We are doing well musically. We're doing well in so many different genres that right now it's cool to be Nigerian. So I'm sure there's people who've got the Nigerian kit that are not even Nigerian. Do you understand? So I believe it's more the fact that people want to be a part of a moving culture, a moving fashion that's evolving, that's growing, and plus the kit is different. You know, it's very unique. It's got patterns on there. You know, it's got a traditional, like, you know, green and white colours.
I should have worn mine if I had one.
I think yeah, and plus it's been a long time coming. Let's be honest. I'm not really into football too much, but from what I've seen in the past, Nigerian football kits has been quite basic. It's been the typical
white and green.
You know, white and green colour. But this time they've
it was a really nice print, wasn't it?
Really
Elizabeth,
nice.
When you heard about the story, did you see this as a fashion moment? Or did you just kind of see it as oh, well, it's, you know, it's trendy, everyone wants to jump on it? Or was it kind of like, oh no, people are buying this because it looks good?
Yeah, I actually like the marketing campaign they did for it. So there's like Grace Ladoja, Notes, WizKid, Juliana Olayinka. I really love like the imagery for it, and they actually got like Nigerian photographers. I think they did a really good job of marketing, and it's $90. It's actually £90. Sorry, it's very affordable, so people could actually buy it. But I think they purposely, you know, didn't make enough, so there was a bit of a
I think
buzz
so as
for it.
well. Yeah, trust the Nigers to create a bit of spice around it.
Yeah.
Lola, what was your interpretation of it? I was a little bit cynical, and I was like, okay, is this people jumping on it, or is it just something we should celebrate? And it's not that people just want to have the latest thing, but they want to support their people.
I think people wanted to support, you know, our people, and I really loved the hype, and I felt like, you know, I had a lot of friends as well who they probably don't know any of the players, they don't know anything about football, but they were like, I must get it, and they got it, and they wore it, and they were like wearing it with pride, and a lot of them actually went to the match as well. And I heard some people say, oh, instead of us to be concentrating on winning the match, we're too busy buying the
selfie,
you know,
like just selfie,
buying the shirts. But I thought it was, you know, great. Like, I agree with Elizabeth, great marketing campaign. Timber Savage was in it. The way it just showed unity, and it just really put us on the map. I mean, Nigeria is the giant of Africa anyway, but I think for the world to see it like this, you know, the way we were unified in regards to purchasing the shirts, I thought it was.
So we
really
can kind of
good for
say
our
that's a
country.
good thing. Esther, you mentioned before that you aren't really a slave to brands, that you kind of, you know, you go with what you feel. You're kind of a unique character in that way. But then, you know, you look amazing, and your hair, for example, I'm sure it's the latest grade, the best grade, and that costs a lot of money, doesn't it? And you know, if we're not talking about clothes, you know, we can say our hair and certain other things that we're spending money on is also to keep up with the Joneses. Would you say?
Definitely, I agree. Like, I have my own hair company, so I'm a brand myself. Like, I classify myself as a brand. So part of being a brand and part of owning a hair company and wanting to sell and do well is I need to represent my brand. So I need to keep up with the latest hair colours. I need to make sure my hair's on fleek, my clothing's on fleek, because a lot of people, you know, look up to, okay, what's the latest that Esther's got on? Even when it comes to clothing and brands, like when I'm doing collaborations and sponsorships, they want to send me clothings from their lines that are new, because they know a lot of people look up to me and want to. But with me, I'm quite particular. Like, if I don't like something, I won't go for it. I like to always try and be unique in my own style. So just like hair, you know, like, I love the fact that you've got your hair cut. I love it. Like, it's different, it's unique. Like, you know, and
we all look very different today, actually.
So for me, it's
individuality.
Exactly.
Let me quickly bring you in on this, Elizabeth. I've got to talk about the celebrity endorsements. You know, some flop, some don't. Let's talk about Ivy Park, for example, with Beyonce. Does it depend on, you know, who's endorsing something and whether or not everyone's going to run after it?
Definitely, like, anything that Beyonce touches, it goes to gold. So that collaboration makes sense for it to be popular. But I don't know how successful it is. It's not something that I've been looking at. I don't think the quality is particularly good. But you wouldn't exactly expect that from Topshop. It's meant to be like kind of fast fashion, affordable.
Yeah.
So,
and I suppose that's what goes into the masses. We could talk about this forever and ever, but I think this is a good wrap. Now, for her Spring-Summer 2018 line, Stella McCartney caused controversy when she used Ankara and Yoruba styles throughout her collection. She sold a lot of her pieces for hundreds, even thousands of pounds. But was Stella McCartney simply influenced by West African traditions, or has she ripped off a culture that she has no link to? Should we be celebrating the use of West African culture in luxury goods and brands? Elizabeth, you're our fashion designer here. How did you feel about Stella McCartney? And let's just make it clear, it's not just her. And, you know, it's not just high-end brands. We see it everywhere. Does it offend you?
for me personally, I didn't mind the fact that she had Ankara going down the runway. But one thing, the Veliscos that she used, it was her own fabric. So often designers will say, okay, that's not fair because she's just got fabric and she's, you know, she's making these Western silhouettes and spending, charging people for like hundreds of pounds, but it's not the same fabric, it's not the same quality. She's trying to target a different customer. Her pieces are in like Harrods and Selfridges, Harvey Nicks. If you want to get your Dutch wax, you're going to get it from the local shop and you're going to go to a tailor. So for me, she's doing her thing and that's fine.
Can you understand why some people were offended?
Yeah, but Ankara itself, originally, you know, that fabric is a Dutch fabric and it was for the Indonesian people. They didn't like it. Africans were actually on a merchant trade and they loved it and took it to Africa. So for us to feel like we own that fabric, I don't think that's completely fair. You know, that shouldn't stop Stella from using it. Same with like tartan. I think that was from East Africa actually. So fabrics do move around
So
the
we
world.
kind of, yeah, we all borrow from each other. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Lola, but you know, there was a reason why, and I Black Twitter, I can say that I'm amongst my people, but there was a reason why Black Twitter were outraged. And it's not just about Stella. We can add Kim Kardashian, we could add other brands and certain things that happen and they say, just taking our stuff and I've had enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think many people, in regards to Stella, in her case, I feel like what she should have done is just at least said, you know what, I was inspired, because
she did later say that, didn't she? After the outrage.
Exactly, after the whole backlash. So if no one said anything, she probably would have just continued on her way. And I agree with, you know, what Elizabeth said in terms of, you know, it did originate from Dutch, like, the material isn't technically ours, but we're known.
There are some people that would argue against that, though.
I know, but you know, we're known for for bringing it to life. We're known for wearing it all the time, and you know, even in particular in Stella's case, I mean, just looking at some of the designs, they're very, very, I would say, in my opinion, basic. And these are the typical designs that you would see any average, you know, Nigerian auntie.
They said wearing in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Cooking stew.
Exactly.
And I'm sure they didn't pay thousands. But Esther, I don't really see you wearing much Ankara on your social media. But how do you feel about the use of Ankara?
Do you know, it frustrates me a lot. Like, I'm sitting here frustrated that even Black Twitter are upset. Like, it's really annoying, because at the end of the day, fashion evolves, it changes. If Ankara's not popping this season and something else is popping, we're all going to be wearing that. So I just feel like, because I'm reverting back to the fact that Africa is popping, Nigeria is popping. Whatever we do now, if we touch anything, it's gold. Do you know what I mean? In everyone, in the whole world's eyes. So as far as I'm concerned, like, if we wasn't touching that right now and we were touching something else, that's what will be popping. I don't believe that believe that people should be upset over any designer wanting to use a different print to create their style. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what, Esther? I totally agree with you. And I think I think it's the minority complex. And I think, you know, it's credit, isn't it? I don't think necessarily people were angry about seeing Ankara. It's the fact that there was no kind of note or nod to say that this has been inspired by.
But as well as that, what I wanted to know as well, a lot of these people that are up there having a lot to say, and I can't believe they've done this, they didn't credit us. Okay, not us, personally, but they didn't credit us, they didn't do that. When you ask them, show me what Ankara you have, show me your own closet, you're hardly going to see anything. That's the reality of it. Like, maybe you might get one or two, but for example, growing up, my mum, I didn't really wear Ankara. Like, if I see something that's unique and I like, when I'm going to parties and they give out clothes, yes, I will then wear it and sew it and I embrace it, but I'm not literally going to a shop and looking for Ankara. I'm not.
No, I totally understand you, and I think a lot of people will agree with you, Esther. Elizabeth, you know, you're a designer. Would you consider yourself a Nigerian designer?
Yeah, I'd say British Nigerian, because that's my experience. So I was born in London. I've been to Nigeria once, hoping to go back for the second time this year. So I'm definitely Nigerian, I'm definitely British. I would hate to force one more than the other.
Okay, so but why I'm asking that is because it's not just about Ankara, because of course that's quite obvious, isn't it? You can say that's an Ankara print. But do you see the West and traditionally Western brands being influenced simply by a Nigerian or a British Nigerian designer and the way they might mould their clothes? I know I'm using the wrong terminology, because it's not just Ankara, isn't it? It's about somebody's, you know, cultural identity. It's those nuances that maybe we can't see, but a fashion designer can say, hang on a minute, that's an African influenced design.
Yeah, I mean, all designers at the top are influencing everything that's going on. For example, we were talking earlier about a particular designer being a copy, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a copy, it's influenced by, that's the point. Like, we're looking to these brands and it filters down, it becomes cheaper. That's their interpretation. I think it was Tom Ford that said that having a copy means that he's been successful, that people want to wear what he's designed. Do you know what I mean? You're a designer because you want people to wear your clothes, not to be like, oh, I don't want that, I want something else. It's like you're doing that to be admired, for people to enjoy your clothing. So yeah, of course there's going to be African designers that are inspiring these other big names.
So it's almost inevitable, isn't it? And I suppose, you know, we live in London and it's a mashup of so many different cultures. But then, Lolo, why, even if we are celebrating it, because I kind of think we're all agreeing, so why are none of us, well, not enough of us going to African Fashion Week London? As Esther said, why are we not wearing enough Ankara?
Exactly. Well, for me, from my personal experience, yes, I agree with Esther. When I was younger, I didn't really see the beauty in Ankara. It was when I got older and I started, getting more in touch with my Nigerian roots. I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. So I definitely, every week, I don't think I've ever missed African Fashion Week.
Oh wow.
And I always try to support, and like, for example, I bought this from Nigeria. I'm always trying to make sure people can see that I love African fashion and I'm an advocate for it. And I just don't know, I think sometimes, again, it's the mindset we've been, even living in London, it's not very typical for you to see people just walking down the street casually with Ankara.
Yeah.
So it's just like we're just copying what we're seeing, really.
Yeah, so Esther, I'll finish with you on this. Should we stop basically being outraged when we see somebody else not stealing, but adopting from our culture?
I believe that we should do, like, even going back to what you were saying growing up, I remember when my mom used to pick me up from school and she was wearing Ankara, I used to be fuming. I used to be like,
That's supposed to be my Jamaican mother.
Like, what you do? Exactly. Because I used to be like, Mom, why are you doing this? Like, so now, it's as I've gotten older, it's as I'm seeing the us develop and us grow and us become more successful, I'm embracing my culture more. I'm proud, you know what I mean?
So next time you're on, I'd love to see you in a nice Ankara dress and gilly.
I will. No, not gilly.
No gilly. Well, that's it from me, Juliana Olayinka, and my guests, Lolo Ogunbedajo, Esther Falana, and Elizabeth-Yemi Akingbade. Make sure you check out Noni on Instagram and Twitter at YANGA_UK so that you can join in the conversations. Join me next time for more Noni Chat. Goodbye.